Hello there, watching L24 Midnight News, coming to you live from our jails, and to the headlines. Zionist airstrike Thursday evening killed 2 more Palestinians in the Shijaya neighborhood east of the city of Gaza. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune received an official invitation letter from his brother Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud to participate in the Arab Summit. In a boost for Erdogan's main challenger, Turkish presidential candidate Muharrem İnce withdraws from the election race. Claiming that Ukrainian army forces plan to move further to the north and south, Wagner military group chief confirmed that Ukraine started its counter-offensive against Russian troops. Hello again and welcome. Starting from the Middle East, 2 more Palestinians were killed in Thursday in a new Zionist airstrike in the Shijaya neighborhood east of the city of Gaza. This attack, perpetrated on a residential house in Shijaya, brings the total death to 28 since Tuesday. The same line of thought for the third day in a row, Gaza remains under shelling. This is a continuation of the aggression of the occupation forces, who have killed in less than a week 29 Palestinians and injured more than 60. Nabil Khazini in this report.
Another 24 hours and another strike. For the third day in a row, Gaza is under shelling. The occupation forces have killed 29 Palestinians in only 3 days, including children. Palestine says this is a war crime for which occupation leaders must be held accountable. This family is one of many who are sleepless because of the bombing. Their essential documents are always close, ready to grab should their building come under attack.
We have no shelters. We have no safe places in the Gaza Strip. Israel is committing massacres in Gaza, killing children. The children are terrified. They are afraid of even staying at home. Every one of them is holding on to the other.
The aggression coincides with the occupation authorities' announcement that the only crossings of the Gaza Strip will be closed, a policy of collective punishment which ushers in a humanitarian crisis if it continues. Since the beginning of the year, the number of Palestinians killed by the occupation forces in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip has climbed to 144. The UN says it was alarmed by escalation of hostilities in Gaza this week. Palestinians are waiting to see what will happen in the coming days, though the occupation authorities seem only to be moving towards escalation.
In a related matter, the Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations in New York, Riyad al-Mansour, appealed to the UN Security Council and the international community to shoulder responsibility and provide protection to the Palestinian people. Riyad al-Mansour's statement came before the start of the Council's closed emergency meeting called for by the UAE, France and China, as well as Russia at a Palestinian request. He made the statements in a brief press conference that was held with a number of Arab ambassadors, where there was 2 ambassadors of Kuwait whose country chairs Arab group for the month, and the representative of the Emirates, a member of the council, in addition to both representatives of Algeria and Jordan.
We sincerely hope that this aggression to stop against our people immediately. And we sincerely hope that the Security Council and the international community can condemn in clear terms the killing of children and women, and to go after those who have organized this massacre against them, and to make them face justice and pay the price that they deserve.
The mayor of the West Bank city of Ramallah and Al Jazeera laid on Thursday the foundation stone for the future museum of Shireen Abu Aqla, which will be built to pay tribute to the soul of the late Al Jazeera journalist who was killed in a Zionist raid in the occupied West Bank a year ago. A year after Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Aqla was shot while covering a Zionist army raid, Palestinian officials and people gathered at the ceremony. Mayor of Ramallah, Isa Qassis, said that opening ceremony for the museum is expected to be on May 11, 2025. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune received on Thursday an invitation letter from his brother, the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, to participate in the Arab Summit. The 32nd Arab League Summit will be held in the Saudi city of Jeddah on the 19th of May of this year. Last November, Algeria hosted the 31st Arab League Summit in the Algerian capital, Algiers. Algerian President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, extended his condolences to the family of Captain Mohammed Tannah, as well as to the family of the National People's National Army, following his fall as a martyr in a clash with a terrorist group in the west skirts of Tissemsilit, which is located in the west of the capital, Algiers. A statement by the Algerian Ministry of Defense indicated that the army detachment monitored and clashed with the terrorist group, which led to the death of the Captain Tannah Mohammed. The Algerian army unit coordinated of the terrorist group and arrested 4 of its members. They also recovered 3 Kalashnikov assault rifles, a Semenov semi-automatic rifle, hand grenade, ammunition, and other items. In Africa, still, Tunisian President Kais Saied said on Wednesday that the goal of the perpetrators of the cowardly criminal attack on the island of Jarba is to destabilize Tunisia and jeopardize the tourist season. This is the first statement made by the Tunisian president about 24 hours after the attack in the vicinity of Jewish synagogue on the island of Jarba in southern Tunisia, which claimed the lives of 6 people.
أود أيضا بهذه المناسبة.
The objective is clear, which is sow in discord and jeopardize the summer season and deal a blow to the state. This is their way and their manner, and it's known that the objective of this attack is to destabilize the nation. But they can never do this. There is a state and there are institutions, and the Tunisian people knows very well the schemes of those criminals.
In the same matter, Algeria strongly condemned the shooting in the Tunisian city of Jarba, which killed 4 people, including 2 security officers, and left many wounded. A statement from the Algerian Foreign Ministry said that Algeria is committed to the security of brotherly Tunisia and renewed its strong refusal of all kinds of violence, regardless of the motivations. The Saudi President, Secretary General of the Polisario Front, Ibrahim Ghali, accompanied by an important official delegation, embarked today on a 2-day state visit to Uganda at an invitation of President Yoweri Museveni, who singled out this Sahrawi counterpart for an official reception that reflects the depth of relations between the 2 countries and the diplomatic victories achieved by the Sahrawi cause on a continental and international level. The National Council for Human Rights in Morocco called on the government of Aziz Akhnouch to stop using force to suppress popular protests and demonstration in the kingdom, revealing in a report overcrowding in the panel institution and depriving citizens of most of their rights. In Africa still, the UN envoy to Libya, Abdullah Batili, announced his agreement with the Speaker of the Parliament, Aqil Saleh, on the need to accelerate the work of the 6+6 committee and preparing the legislative framework for comprehensive elections at a time when the Libyan Presidential Council stressed the need for Libyan ownership of the political process in the foundations and the paths. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk on Thursday urged countries with influence in Africa to help end the fighting in Sudan and said that both warring sides had trampled international humanitarian law. The United Nations Human Rights Council on Thursday narrowly passed a motion to increase monitoring of human rights abuses in Sudan, where hundreds of civilians have been killed since a conflict erupted last month. 18 countries voted in favor of the Western-led initiative, 15 votes against and 14 abstained. The motion had been backed by Western countries, including Britain and the United States, to condemn abuses by Sudan's warring factions, but many other countries voiced opposition. Now moving on to Europe and to Turkey, the man challenging Tayyip Recep Erdogan in Turkey's presidential elections this weekend, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, received a boost on Thursday when a small party candidate shortly withdrew and closely watched poll gave him a more than 5% point advantage. More later.
With less than 70 hours to go until Turkey's high-stakes elections this Sunday, several polls have placed opposition presidential candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu on the brink of a win in the first round, with less than a point short of a majority. A last-minute withdrawal on Thursday by Muharrem İnce, a presidential contender whom pundits criticized for dividing the opposition's vote, is seen by analysts as a boost of votes for Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, the leader of the Republican People's Party and the candidate for an alliance of 6 opposition parties.
Adaylıktan çekiliyorum.
The last point the opposition came to was he can't withdraw. He took money from the palace. How will he pay back the money? There are questions like this. I'm withdrawing from the race. I'm withdrawing from the race. I'm doing this for my country.
Under Turkey's voting system, a winner can be selected by gaining more than 50% of the ballots cast, or if not, by winning a runoff. During an election rally in the capital Ankara, Erdogan said he was saddened by İnce's withdrawal and had no knowledge of the reasons behind it.
What happens now is that one of the candidates withdrew from the presidential race. Of course, it is not possible to understand why he took such a decision. Honestly, I am saddened by this decision. I wish this race had continued until the end. I wonder what happened and why he withdrew his candidacy. I don't know. We continue on our way with other candidates. What matters is the decision of my nation.
The withdrawal by İnce could reshape the last days of campaigning in what is seen as Erdogan's biggest test in his 2-decade reign. Polls suggest a close voting percentage between candidates Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, as experts believe that Kılıçdaroğlu has an edge, but that Erdogan could yet prevail given his strong support base in the devout working-class Anatolia heartland. Sunday's elections will now be fought between 3 candidates who are facing a tough challenge, as the country is suffering repercussions of economic crisis and it is grappling with a difficult recovery from February's 7.8 magnitude earthquake.
And for a better understanding on the election race in Turkey and withdrawal of Muharrem İnce, we have talked previously to Mr. Abdel Noor Turmi, who is a journalist and an international relations expert, and he has this to say.
To sum up all this context, it came in a spoiler effect that is enhancing the political drama in this campaign. Now, as far as the consequences on other candidates, I would not say that would affect much because the candidate himself, Mr. Muharram NG, was not winning heavily in the race. According to the polls, he was between 1.5 and 2%. However, his followers or the voters who were thinking to vote for him did already show or make their choice by splitting their votes to or between the candidate of the independent party, the extremist and the far-right candidate Sinan Ogan, and the outgoing president candidate Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Mr. Tomi also explained what role and kind of that consequences Eng's withdrawal could have in driving the election race to each side.
It is very exciting moment that Turkey is going through, and this has showed that the Turkish voters showed the maturity of the Turkish voters and the political culture that has been established now for decades in entire Turkish society, which means that the Turkish democratic process is healthy. Thank you very much.
Now moving to Russia-Ukraine conflict, tensions between the two countries continue to escalate as conflicting reports emerge regarding the Ukrainian counterattack near the city of Bakhmut, as the head of the Russian private military company Wagner Group claims that the attack has already begun, while Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky denies these claims. Hassan Burkan.
Perhaps from your
The Battle of Bakhmut has been a major flashpoint in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Wagner Group has been in control of the city for months, with the Ukrainian military unable to dislodge them. However, Zelensky recently announced that his forces were preparing a counterattack to retake the city.
With what we have now, we can move forward and we will succeed, but we will lose many lives. I think this is not acceptable, so we need to wait. We still need more time.
Despite Zelensky's statement, Prigozhin claims that the Ukrainian counterattack has already begun and that his forces have been engaged in intense fighting in the area. The situation on the ground remains unclear, with conflicting reports making it difficult to determine what is happening. As the conflict continues to escalate, the cost is high for civilians caught in the crossfire and soldiers on both sides paying the ultimate price. The international community is closely watching the situation, with concerns mounting over the potential for further escalation and the impact it will have on the region. The Battle of Bakhmut may prove to be a critical turning point in the ongoing conflict, with the fate of the city and the surrounding region hanging in the balance. As conflicting reports emerge, it remains to be seen what the true situation is on the ground and what the next steps will be for both sides.
To American Latin, U.S. President Joe Biden piled pressure on Republican lawmakers on Wednesday to move quickly to raise the country's the $31.4 trillion debt maximum, or risk throwing the U.S. economy into recession that would kill thousands of jobs. The Treasury Department says that the government will be unable to pay its bills as early as June 1st.
Because if we default on our debt, the whole world is in trouble. This is a manufactured crisis. There's no question about America's ability to pay its bills. America has the strongest economy in the world, and we should be cutting spending and lowering the deficit without a needless crisis, in a responsible way.
Now, Pakistan's Supreme Court ordered the Anti-Corruption Service to release former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Supreme Court had overturned the arrest of former Pakistani Prime Minister. Khan's arrest on Tuesday in a fraud case sparked widespread and violent protests across the country, prompting the government to call in the army to help restore order. And in the closure of a news bulletin now to the UEFA Europa League, as Roma's young midfielder Eduardo Bove was the man of the game for Giallorossi as Jose Mourinho's side defeated Bayer Leverkusen 1-0 at the Stadio Olimpico to take a slender advantage into the second leg of the Europa League semi-final. After the goalless first half, Roma pushed forward in the second period and eventually they struck in the 63rd minute to take the lead. Mourinho's side held on in this latter stage to keep an important clean sheet and head into next week's second leg at Bayer Arena with an important lead. In the same competition and in the other semi-final, Juventus rescued a draw in the last minute of the stoppage time against Sevilla in the first leg of the Europa League semi-final. It looked like Youssef and Sayri early goal would be enough to win it for the Spaniards, but Federico Gatti headed into a back post to make it 1-1 in the 97th minute. The two teams will meet for the second leg at Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium next Thursday in Spain. And with this news, we reach the end of our news bulletin. Thank you ever so much for being with us in this late hour. For more updates, you can follow our social media platform. And all I can say at the end, have a blessed Friday and good night.